Hello, Steve White, TrekBoy89 for Steve Arts89. Well, Denise and Michael Okuda, I love you. You have an encyclopedic knowledge of Star Trek, which is probably wider than anyone in the world, including myself. But that doesn't always mean you make the right decisions. Not changing, fixing, correcting the James R. Kirk tombstone in Star Trek Remastered. Not showing all the phases to be consistent and changing them so they're all consistent and animating over the existing animation to make them all consistent was a mistake. Not showing the Enterprise going to warp when it was clearly stated in the script and seen on screen in dialogue that it was supposed to be going to warp in shots where it isn't. And at warp, not showing it at warp when it was in the script and in the dialogue, because you thought that the first time we see the Enterprise go to warp was Star Trek the Motion Picture, and you didn't want to reduce that experience of people watching that film by showing the Enterprise go to warp in the series. People have already seen starships go to warp now. There's no way the motion picture is going to be their first experience of Star Trek, I don't think. Someone will have seen The Next Generation, Discovery, one of the other movies, the original series, before they see the motion picture. You can't recreate that experience, and trying to maintain that historically, and by sacrificing the anime series, the remastered series was a mistake. So you don't always make the right decisions, and your decision not to fully restore the Enterprise model, which was delivered, completed, finished, painted to be shot from all angles. But then they made some changes. They changed the actual size of the ship and the amount of crew, and they made the bridge dome smaller, and they made changes like putting a corridor around the outside of the bridge, which wasn't in the original. And they changed the nacelle domes and stuff like that. So yes, they changed things like that, and you didn't have to go back to the original Cage version of it. I understand you wanted to basically have it set in, I think, the second season, which was the last time they altered it, which is fine, but that doesn't mean you couldn't complete that original side. Those windows that have been painted over with grey paint, there's no reason why you couldn't have restored them. Even if you were going to still keep the wires outside, which I think is wrong, you still could have completed the ship underneath the wires like it originally was. And even then, I don't think you should have left the wires on the outside, because I don't see any reason to depict the Enterprise as a working model when you could depict it as a finished model. And you can show pictures of it when it was in production and it had the wires and explain how it was changed and that. But you don't need to leave it like that. People see that ship and they don't see the Enterprise. They see a model because they see, behind the curtain. You've left the curtain, open for them to see how it was actually used in the series. And if people don't want to look at that and read that information on the display, that's fine. They can still look at the ship and admire it. But you've taken that away from them. They don't have any choice but to see it as a working model with wires hanging out and, one side painted over from the original work that was done on the surface with the windows and everything. And, the stand and all that. So I just think I love you. You have, all the knowledge in the world about Star Trek. You love Star Trek. I'm sure you have the best intentions, but that doesn't mean you always make the right decisions, and you should sometimes listen to fans and other people, because you're not always right. You're not always going to get it right. And sometimes you have to put Star Trek in front of yourself and the Enterprise in front of yourself, which you should have done with the restoration of that ship, because you've demeaned that ship. You put it up in an unfinished, working state, and it's just degrading to the ship and to its image. You can't look at that ship and see it for what it should be. People should be able to look at that ship, that model, and imagine it's real, and they can't do that with wires hanging out and plugs. So I was shocked that they did that, and I'm still shocked. And one argument that people had that they threw at me was, well, it was never finished on that side. And I'm like, it was. And I didn't have proof that it was until someone from Trek World, who I hate because they slander Gene Roddenberry and trash him, they actually did pull up a picture that someone had of the ship with the wires and the windows painted underneath. So when they first started altering it, it was finished on both sides and they altered it, and then at some point someone painted over that whole side, which I don't understand why. I think it's because they filled up some of the holes and puttied over it, and then they painted the whole side to give it like a smooth sort of, make it look a bit neater, but they got rid of all the surface detail when they did that, so I think that's what happened to that. But I just want to do a video, so Denise and Michael Okuda, I love you, but it doesn't mean you're perfect and can't make mistakes. So if you could just fix that, like next time they want to do an update or a restoration to that ship, you actually restore it to its real beauty, not keep it a working model. I'd appreciate that. I'm going to go. Feel free to share, like, comment, subscribe. Let me know what you think.